When I work with brands, I choose brands that I believe in, that make me excited, that have a kind of general tone that fits with my brand, Manon Mathews. In the past, I've worked with Nordstrom, Best Buy, T-Mobile, brands that have a good sense of humor and that are in alignment with videos that I would actually make for my Instagram account, my Facebook account, Vine. So what happens is they will approach me more than likely, as opposed to me approaching them, and they will throw out a creative brief for me, and I will either take on the endeavor or pass according to what it is. More often than not, I've shot my own videos, and sometimes I'll hire somebody to shoot my videos. I'll cast it, I'll write it, direct it, act in it, and pretty much be a goofball while incorporating the content in the product. I think when a brand is approaching an influencer, they have to kind of do a background check on the influencer to see that, that they are, kid-friendly, they don't necessarily curse, that they're in alignment with, the branded content. Because if they don't do their homework, then they might get a piece of content that they're not actually enthusiastic about, and it's really important that the brand be enthusiastic about the end product so that they can continue working with this influencer for hopefully a longer span of time and to get their, product out there. If the brand is not in alignment with what the influencer naturally does, they're going to get a lot of backlash as far as being called a sellout or even maybe lose followers. So it's really important that they come at it with kind of a creative approach, as well as kind of knowing who they're approaching as far as an influencer. The most successful content that I've had out there is when the brand allows me to kind of take full creative control, because when they want to have full creative control, I don't think brands are aware the kind of shift as far as traditional media and social media is concerned, because I think when the brand lets us have full power as the creators, then we're more likely to generate, more authentic content. But I've also worked with brands that, want to kind of just lay it out there for you, and you have to stick to certain guidelines, and that tends to be a little less authentic, which is harder to have engagement. The ones that I've done that have done really well, I've had full creative control, and people like it, and they support you, and they go, yeah, we know this is a branded content, but we like it because it's Manon doing her thing and what she does best. It also depends on the time of day you post, if it's spread out. I think the creator needs to have a little more control than the actual brand does as far as posting and engagement. And I think engagement works when the creator is kind of writing back to the responses. I think that always helps up the engagement as far as branded content and any content goes. My most popular piece of content started off as my Kristen Stewart impression. I do a lot of impressions, and I think people love that because they can relate to it, because they know who the person is, and it makes them laugh because, they feel like they're watching the actual actor, seeing all the kind of funny nuances and the mannerisms that the actor has. So the impressions do really well, the characters do really well. My most viewed content is a Facebook video where I'm lip syncing in the car and kind of getting way too into it. And I think people relate to that because people dance in their cars like that and get really into it, and we can all relate to, feeling the music and feeling the beat and just letting ourselves go. And I think people like to watch each other let themselves go, you know what I mean? We're in a society where a lot of us could probably use a little more freedom and letting go of all the stresses that there are. So that's what I kind of hope for my audience, is to feel happy and joyous and free to kind of let go. I started off on Vine doing 6 seconds at a time. I did the Kristen Stewart impression. Someone had seen me do it at the Comedy Store and asked if I would post it, and I did, and that night I had 10,000 followers, and then within a week 100,000 followers and 500,000 followers, and naturally those 3 million kind of trickled into other social media platforms, whether it be Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm really glad that those other, platforms exist, because they're longer version, which is originally what I started doing anyway. You know what I mean? Before social media, I was doing stand-up and I was doing improv. So, Vine was definitely a great outlet for me as far as gaining popularity in the social level. And then I started doing, observational humor and characters, and collaborating is really helpful. I think building, a following isn't necessarily something that a person can control. All I've been able to control is what I'm creating, sticking true to what I think is funny, sticking to what makes me giggle, staying in alignment with, who I really am, and trusting the kind of the process. If it's making me laugh, then more than likely it'll make somebody else laugh. So I think that can organically build a following, as well as, collaborating's been really helpful to find like-minded people with similar senses of humor, similar, passions, and then creating together can definitely help, build a following, is like coming together and staying true to what you know. I think what I bring to the table, which mainstream media doesn't, is just being true to myself 100%, not trying to build my following and just, selling out. I really want to stick true to what I think is funny and what I'm passionate about. And I think that matters more than, getting a few more million followers. It's never been about the followers to me. It's always been about, the creativity and the, peace when working together, and, kind of lifting everybody up and supporting one another. I tend to be pretty supportive of people. I want them to do well. I kind of see things as the big picture rather than just what I'm doing. And I think having that kind of like that lens of seeing everything as a whole and how we can work together is really helpful, for me at least. I also don't hold back. I'm not afraid to look stupid or ugly, or, I want to be as loving and as comedic as possible. I love Vine. I have such a soft spot in my heart for it. Unfortunately, it's not really around anymore. I've recently, transitioned to Facebook and Instagram, which I love because it can be longer, which is what I'm desiring to do anyway. Snapchat's kind of a new thing for me. I do love it. I've been doing with the filters, creating these stories and these characters, and it's fun because it only lives for 24 hours. I don't know if I have a particular favorite. I think Vine will always be my favorite platform because it was just so fast and in the moment, and just not a lot of pressure there, and my 3 million followers watching, which was definitely exciting.